Welcome, welcome to Smart Start Radio, everybody. This time I get to do it first. I am host one of two, Sara Robertson.
You almost made me spit out my water. That was really rude. I'm joking. I just wasn't expecting that.
Well, I think so far we've every time started off by Eming saying, I'm host one of two. And I'm like, oh, that's so cute. But now I get to say, I'm host one of
Bravo.
Sara Robertson.
Bravo. I didn't see that coming. That was really good.
Thank you. And Eming, and Eming, introduce yourself.
Pause. I thought you were going to introduce Shoga. Okay, sorry. I'm host two. Sorry, I got so distracted in the first one. And I'm host two to Eming Piansay.
Okay, we are, all jokes aside, so excited to welcome you back for another episode of Smart Start Radio. This one is super fun, and it's something that I'm personally very passionate about, so I'm really grateful to both of these wonderful professionals who came on to speak today. And that was Kristin Delahunt, who is the Vice President of Destination Services at Discover Atlanta, and Brynn Johnson, who is the Director of Convention and Group Sales at Yakima Valley Tourism. So today we are going to be talking about destinations, and that's such a fun topic for meeting planners. I mean, like, half the reason you're in this industry, probably, I'm making an assumption here, but it's because you love to travel. You love to go to new places. And we have representatives from two very different, but both kind of undeservingly underrated. And so we have Atlanta, which is this huge metropolitan city in the heart of the South. And then we have Yakima Valley, which is this beautiful rural landscape with like that homey small town culture, but like they have so much, as Brynn will go on to tell you, in terms of F&B and entertainment and service. In Washington State. So super excited for this topic. We're going to talk about how you can best utilize the resources that you have at your disposal, why it's important to be working with CVBs and DMOs from the get-go, and just establishing those relationships that are going to fuel your career, your success, and the success of everyone around you. Welcome back to Smart Start Radio, everybody. We are so excited to have you here listening to us today, and we are also so excited to have two amazing CVB representatives here with us today to talk about all the amazing work that they do. And if you're a planner, you probably are familiar with what they do, but the immense amount of work that they do on the back end to make your meetings come together so beautifully and bring a destination to life when you hold your meetings in said destinations is just unreal. So we are going to really dig into that today. Thank you. So we have Brynn Johnson here from Yakima Valley Tourism, as well as Kristin Delahunt from Discover Atlanta. And these are just two amazing women who are so successful in what they do. And they're representing two very different destinations. So whether you are a giant corporate planner, you're planning immense conferences, or you're putting together small incentives, both destinations have so much to offer you. And this is really for a broad audience to understand, the broadness of CVBs, as well as how they fit into the broadness of meetings. So let's dig into it. Can we start off just by having Brynn and Kristin, you guys introduce yourselves and a little bit more about what exactly each of you do?
Sure, I'll start. So I'm Brynn Johnson. I'm the Director of Sales here at Yakima Valley Tourism. And I've been here for 18 years now. And basically what we do is we act as your liaison for the meeting planner to the destination, and that would be helping them plan their meeting from start to finish, work with the venues, finding the right venue. Mostly it's the convention center here, but whether they're self-contained in hotels or other area venues, we work with the hotels to get their contracts situated, and then any other outside activities.
And Kristin, what about you?
I am the Vice President of Destination Services here at Discover Atlanta, or Atlanta Convention and Visitors Bureau. I've been here 21 years, always been in the Destination Services Department, so very similar to what Brynn shared as a whole from organization, but specifically with our role in DS is 2 years out, we take ownership of the account from sales, and then we become their one-stop shop for anything they need in the city to plan and produce their events. And we also do a lot of destination promotion to get the attendees excited to come, hopefully come early, stay late, bring a guest, basically just provide any of that kind of boots on the ground assistance for those 2 years out leading up to their event, just to make sure that they're plugged in with all the right suppliers and have everything they need and have a unique experience in the city.
Awesome. So the first question we sort of want to kick off our conversation with is, how did each of you enter this world of destination marketing? How did you discover it, and what made you, fall in love with it to the degree that you hold the roles you do now? And as a tag on to that question, or an add-on to that question, what do you think is special about what destination marketing does for planners and travelers and locals within your destinations, that whole broad scope?
I actually completely changed careers. I was a high school history teacher. Well, actually, high school history was my goal. I ended up teaching elementary school because there were no high school history jobs available at the time after I got my degree in college. And I coached softball. And then because it was hard to find the right fit for me, I decided maybe there's a different avenue for me, and stumbled upon a kind of entry-level sales position with Yakima Valley Tourism in 2006 through a friend in the wine industry. So I kind of got my foot in the door that way, and I've just kind of worked my way up to director of sales. And so what was your second part of the question? It was
what
was
is it
special about what we do?
What's special about destination marketing?
I just think it's important a lot of people don't really understand what we do. I feel like even some friends of mine probably couldn't tell you exactly what I do. And I really think that one of the important things
probably relate.
Yeah, I think that one of the things that we do that's important is, we're constantly bringing in tourism to the valley, whether it be sports, because we do have our sports commission, whether it be conferences, other types of meetings. By doing that, we are contributing to the local economy. And I think that that's really important, especially when economies are ebbing and flowing all the time. So it's something that we continue to see grow. And I think that's really important.
Yeah, I would echo that. That kind of tops for me, as well as just feeling like you're some small part of the city's growth or their success. Exposing visitors to all of the great things that people don't know about your destination is always very rewarding. And also just, that you're constantly learning, you're constantly growing. There's an association for everything.
Yes, there is.
You're learning a lot.
You're not wrong about that.
About a lot of industries, but it keeps it fresh and keeps it kind of interesting. Always working with new people and creating new programs with them. So that's super rewarding. I got into it where I started at Merritt's Travel Company and was with them for 5 years on their operations team. And that's how I got into just the hospitality industry overall, and traveled with Merritt's ops team running programs on the convention and trade show side as well as the incentive side. At destinations all over the world. And it was a lot of fun, and it was a lot of learning and a lot of travel. And so after about 5 years, I wanted to, kind of do something similar, because I really enjoyed, the fast pace and working with different types of customers all the time and working with all of the location suppliers. But I wanted to do something that kind of kept me a little bit more sane with a little less travel. So I happened to be living in St. Louis or in Atlanta at that time, and saw this job opportunity at the Atlanta Convention and Visitors Bureau, and I thought that might be a good match, but a little more stationary than my whirlwind travels. So that was 21 years ago, and then I've just kind of worked in various roles in the destination services department since then.
Very cool.
Just kind of curious, the one thing I've learned in this industry so far is that you guys are kind of like the source, or the voices that kind of really speak to people outside of your area to kind of engage them and bring them in to want to host their events there, essentially. I was wondering what's the hardest aspect of that, of getting people to look at you guys and be like, hey, we could come here and host our event here. What aspect of that is the thing that has that is not as easy as it might be?
I mean, for us, I can speak right away. It's air travel. We have one airline. We're a town. We're a city of 100,000 people, a county of 250,000 people, and our DMO represents 10 other municipalities along the way, over about a 70 to 80 mile stretch. And so we are very diverse and unique that way. And we're centrally located in the state, but we only have this one airline with very limited amount of in and out flights. So that makes it hard, but we are a drive market. So, when that does become a little bit of a hurdle, then I just kindly remind a lot of these groups that, we are a 2-hour drive from everywhere in the state for the most part. So we are very accessible.
Nice. That's good to know.
I would say maybe a challenge for our team sometimes would be, I guess a lot of people, still have not been to Atlanta and they don't really know what to expect.
Mm,
Some competitors have some very obvious icons, right? Like the mouse, down south or New York or San Francisco. There's definite things you think of in some of these destinations. They come to mind. So our team works really, really hard to get customers here to experience the city on a site visit. And we do
right.
so many of those. We are fortunate to have Delta as our hometown airline and Hartsfield Jackson is the busiest airport in the world. So we're fortunate to have the lift, which does allow us to bring a good volume of customers here on a site visit to check out the city.
Right.
And every time we do that, we get the, oh my gosh, I have no idea, that Atlanta had such a culinary scene, or that it was so, so active or so diverse or so green.
Yeah.
So we love to bring people in and change that perception, or at least, let them discover what the city has that really they did not know of before, because they might not have thought of it as a typical, tourist destination
Right.
or, for fun or anything like that.
I think it's interesting that you both say that, because I feel like that's similar for both of your destinations. Like, they're not necessarily the first thing that a planner would think of, but you can offer such interesting and exciting experiences for meetings and events. And I think that's part of the reason we really wanted to bring you both on today, to talk about that and to promote your destinations for our audience, because you really are such unique destinations in an age when people really want unique, immersive experience. I'd love to hear a little bit more about each of your destinations, Yakima Valley in Atlanta. What kinds of things do you find people seek out the most when they visit your destinations? And what kinds of things do you think that meeting planners ought to know about what your destinations can offer? Brynn, do you want to start?
Sure. So we are a wine and main egg based area of the state, and we are the largest hop producer in the world. A lot of people don't know that, and for a really long time we produced the hops, but we never really had any breweries. So in the last 10 years, we've really kind of started to have breweries and cideries and distilleries kind of pop up, because before it was all wine. We are a very large wine destination. And so I would say that a lot of people now come for, besides conferences, obviously, but for leisure, they're coming for the wine and the beer, the culinary experiences. We do a lot of farm to table because of the ag background that we have here. And a lot of people really like to come to our farmers market. We have a great farmers market in the summertime from May through October. And then, of course, we kind of are the sports capital of the state for the smaller, well, I wouldn't say the smaller schools. We still do some 4A stuff, but our sports commission brings in a lot, probably the main chunk of our business when it comes to overnight stays. And we are also that makes us a little unique is we have the sports commission. We also manage our visitor information center. That's a separate building away that we're actually trying to work in the next few years to bring that maybe more on site. And then we are one of the only DMOs that I know of in our state that has the marketing contract for the convention center here, and we happen to be inside the convention center, which makes it a unique experience for a lot of our meeting planners, because I'm on site. So when they're here, I'm helping them troubleshoot any issue. I'm kind of their voice between the hotels, catering, the convention center, because a lot of times they're too busy to maybe they don't want to speak their mind directly to those people, and so I kind of help buffer that a little bit for them, and I'm on site for that reason.
Cool. I want to make sure that I still remember the question. We're talking about unique experiences, right?
Yeah.
Don't know yet.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
things
I
that
think,
sorry, Sarah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think I was interested in what you were saying about how a lot of people often underestimate Atlanta, and they're like, oh, I've actually never considered coming here before, but I'm so glad I did. What kinds of things make that come true for them?
Okay, great. Thank you for reiterating. I was too into listening to Brynn,
right?
I go there. It sounds very exciting. And not to be a broken record, but some of those same things. We are definitely a sports city. We've got the gorgeous Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So we host a lot of large scale events. We just had the College Football National Championship this past January. We are gearing up for FIFA World Cup in 2026.
Right.
We've got a few others on the horizon. Don't know that I'm allowed to release those yet, but some majors that people will be excited to come and enjoy in Atlanta.
And Smart Meetings will be reporting on that.
Okay. I'll let you guys release that. So yes, like, and of course, like college football is huge, in our region. And again, it's, Atlanta's kind of a mecca for college football and sports fans of all kinds. So sports is huge for us as well. And again, like Brynn was mentioning, our culinary scene is wildly diverse. It's not just shrimp and grits, it's not just chicken and waffles. It's so much more of an international culinary destination than anybody ever expects. We have such diversity of all cultures in Atlanta. And so then, of course, when you have that, you've got all of that great international food. And it's not, pricey either. We've got a wonderful culinary scene of all that represents all price points. We have Michelin in the city, which we're very excited about. They came into Atlanta last year. They're back again this year. They will be, I believe, back again next year. All their kind of secret tasters out in the city, checking out our restaurants. So our first cohort, we had a handful of Michelin stars and other accolades. And then our second award show expanded that. So we've got yet, a whole new cohort of additional Michelin star restaurants in the city. And so and you got to eat. When meeting planners are coming in town, it's generally our, the number one thing is they want to know what's the culinary scene, where can I do an offsite dinner, board dinner, team dinner. And so we love to be able to kind of open their eyes to that variety and really get them out in the city tasting all the great spots we have.
Now I'm hungry, Kristin, because I haven't had lunch yet.
It does sound pretty good.
Yeah.
One thing that we kind of wanted to ask you guys is like when folks want to host their events in your city and whatnot, like what's one thing that you guys kind of wish they would ask about or like inquire about? Because I know like a lot of times like people don't always ask the right questions about things, but are there things that you wish people would think about more so and ask at the start of the process?
I mean, for me, I would say a lot of times I don't think that they realize, even though we try to educate them from the process, because a lot of times we have planners that they're contacting me after they've already contacted a couple of hotels, and I'm like, well, we could save you all this time, here's what we do. But a lot of times they'll get kind of well into the process, and then they'll mention that they have an off-site spouse tour that they want to put together or something along those lines. That is something that we do, and I try to educate them on the whole process, that we are not just dealing with the meeting aspect, but we do the fun stuff as well. And so that's part of what we do is sell the city, and the destination. So, we always try to let them know we're your Yakima, everything Yakima contact. So it's not just, you don't need to just deal with hotels and convention center, but, we're willing to go the extra mile to do the servicing as well. We used to, when I started, we actually used to have a servicing department, so to speak, which was one person. And we've kind of just absorbed that. So we are that one-stop shop for them, where we're doing from the start to the finish and being on site with them. So it is it's interesting to see the process from behind the scenes in all aspects.
Definitely.
Right.
So the sooner that they reach out, the better, and the more that you can do for them.
Yeah, absolutely. It just allows me more time to, let them know our capabilities, whether that be finding they want a discount at some of the downtown hotels within walking distance, or they want to put together a brewery tour, or, a dinner in the hop field, or something unique that's, unique to our area.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, definitely. Again, Brynn's hitting the nail on whatever the saying is, nail on the head. Like we always say, engage with us early, because you don't know what you don't know. And it amazes me that how many planners still don't realize the full scope of resources that a DMO can provide and make their lives so much easier. It's we always kind of joke with them too, like it's free. We're giving you free stuff.
Yes.
Free labor. So come to us from the very start and let our team, whether it's on the sales side or into the services side, like let us understand what your needs are and help pull the pieces together on your behalf. We're the destination expert, so don't try to tell the story or sell the city, on your own. Come to us. We already have all of that. We make it easy for you to plug and play whatever is going to pique your attendees' interest about that particular destination. We already have all the content, the photos, the videos.
Right.
So rely on us when you're trying to promote the destination in tandem with promoting your meeting. I would also say, oftentimes, our convention centers downtown and our major, convention hotels are downtown. And we have a lot of great attractions that serve as, special event venues downtown and a lot of restaurants. but there are other very cool, unique parts of the city. So while they might come in, right away and say, well, we want to do something that's walking distance to the convention center. And we have great spots in walking distance, but I always try to encourage them, like, allow us to push you a little bit outside of there, and to the neighborhoods, that are close by, and to the more, kind of local spots, because that's where you can find some really, truly unique city experiences that I think your attendees are going to appreciate, even if they had to take an Uber or get on a bus. So trying to get them out of that, we want everything to just be walking. That's one thing that I always hope that they will come to me, with an open mind, with the
Right.
scope of where they're looking to place certain events around the city.
Yeah, I love that. And
Tangent. I hope that answered your question.
totally, totally. I love that. And I think, like, I really like what you said about, like, it's free. Come to us. Because, I think that's something
People love
that's
free.
Yeah, and I think that's something that's really special about, like, the kind of work that you do, is that you, at the end of the day, you love your destinations. You want to bring people in and help them to see it through your eyes, in the way that you want them to love it, in the way that you love it, or help them discover what it is that they will love about it. Like, at the end of the day, you are stewards of your destinations. I'm curious, when it comes to the local people in your destinations, like, how does, we know that, like, tourism has an impact on the locals, for better or for worse, but, like, what role does the CV or DMO play in the lives of the locals?
Do you want to go first, Kristin? You want me to?
First?
Okay.
Well, right off the top of my head, I'm thinking, as far as the businesses and suppliers, and not all DMOs are this way. We're membership based.
So big.
And so, we love to connect the planners to our members. A lot of those members are small local business owners, and that's, a direct impact to the local businesses and the residents in the city. So generally, I would say the convention and the tourism that we bring to the city, the love gets spread around, like the residents are benefiting from that. Also, conventions or events that come into town that residents can partake, like the sporting events, that's definitely a benefit to them. Do we have to balance, traffic planning or, large crowds, and be respectful of, the folks who live here and especially live in downtown? Yes, absolutely. We try to communicate as much as possible with our other city partners, what's happening in the city, when are there large groups, coming in, are there street closures associated with events? We try to be very proactive about communicating that, because we don't ever want them to look at the tourism and the convention business as a hassle or a detriment to their lives in the city. But we also, whenever we can, try to expand the reach to include them, whether it's through volunteering or taking part in community events, encouraging groups that come in to do some sort of, like, give back to the city or a legacy project. So we always want to respect the residents, and our friends and partners in the city, while also you bringing in great events that hopefully will bring them business, and kind of rising tide lifts all boats, so to say there.
Yeah, Kristin, you said it great. To add to that, we have a directory of conventions that we give out to our members, so they have an idea ahead of time of what's coming to town. And then when it's going to be concentrated more in the downtown area, we send out kind of a press release and a reminder to let you know, like the hotels and the restaurants, to let you know you're going to be busy this weekend. And as a resident myself, I always know when to stay away from the downtown, just because of, like, sporting events. When the sporting events come to town, you're going to be waiting to go to dinner if you're downtown. So just having that available to the local businesses and members of our tourism, our DMO, is definitely helpful to them, because they know how to staff properly, so they can provide that really great experience to the visitor.
Sara, do you have any more questions?
Yeah, I'd love to talk a little bit more about, like, what's going on in each of your destinations right now. I know Atlanta has some exciting stuff coming up, and I'll have an article coming out on that very soon, actually. And Brynn as well, in Yakima Valley, like, for both of you, what are some things that are coming up that you can share right now that you're excited about, and that you think that meeting planners and our audience are going to want to know about?
I mean, personally for us, I think the spring and summer is my favorite time of year because we have 300 days of sunshine here. So we do a lot of outdoor concerts. We do downtown summer nights in the summer where they shut off one of the streets, and there's vendors and wineries and breweries, and there's always a band. We also have a lot of the wineries will put on concerts on the lawn. So there just seems to be more going on during that time of year when we have conferences. And honestly, our peak season for conferences is fairly, it's typically April through October, which is also, the prime time as far as weather goes. So, and again, as I previously mentioned, we have our farmers market. So a lot of groups tend to, I don't want to say that they base their conference around what's going on, but they definitely, if they're flexible, they want to see what's going on in that month, in that week before we're looking at, securing those dates for them. But, 4 years ago, although it's not new technically anymore, but 4 years ago, our convention center went through an expansion. So it's been interesting, challenging, and fun all the same to find those groups that they outgrew us before, and now we can host them. So kind of retouching back with those groups and getting them to reconsider Yakima has been a fun challenge.
Totally. That's so awesome. And I will just interject really quickly here to say that, like, very beautifully said, and I think it really demonstrates how full circle it goes, from like meeting planners reaching out to you to how you impact the local community, and like just the full circle, the full life cycle of how these things happen. I think it's just like, it's so neat and beautiful, and you just tie it up with a little bow and you deliver an amazing experience for locals and visitors alike, and I love it.
We've got some very exciting developments happening in downtown Atlanta. I think, Sarah, you might already have some stats on some of those, it sounds like. So one that we're super excited and cannot wait to see it all, come to fruition is a development called Centennial Yards. It sits immediately adjacent to the Convention Center campus. So like right downtown Atlanta, you've got the Georgia Will Congress Center, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, State Farm Arena, the Omni Hotel Atlanta, and the new Hilton Signia, all on the same campus. And then right across from there is where Centennial Yards is going to be. And it's a 50-acre site that currently has been just a parking lot, just asphalt tailgate area, for the arena and the stadium. The developer bought it, and it's a $5 billion investment. They're going to have 500,000 square feet of retail, entertainment venues, concert venues, theaters, several hotels, and residential. So kind of a big mixed use project plopped right down in the middle of downtown, right next to our convention campus. So we couldn't be more excited for that. Many of the buildings will be open in time for our FIFA World Cup hosting in 2026. Not everything, but over the next several years, we'll see it, fill out and tenants kind of move in. So we think it's going to just change the entire landscape of a convention in the city and that visitor experience, or really any event that you're coming downtown for, whether it's just the hotels or the arena or the stadium. It's going to provide a whole new kind of entertainment district to expand your time in the area. So we're super excited about that. And then actually right next to that development, there's another one that's being developed that is called the Center. It is the old CNN Center. And when CNN Center relocated their studios out of this space, a developer bought this whole development, and they are developing this into another kind of dining, nightlife, entertainment kind of indoor district, if you will. So very excited about, again, just to add to the offerings for guests coming in to downtown specifically to have a huge range of new options to enjoy while they're in the city. And then the third kind of new development is just a couple blocks south of there in our most historic district. And it's now named South Downtown, but it really was the original part of downtown. So it has beautiful architecture. It's the oldest part of the city. And what South Downtown is doing is creating another entertainment / like tech entrepreneur hub in this several block space. But they're keeping the buildings and maintaining the integrity of the architecture. So it feels it still keeps that historic vibe. and is very walkable, and will have a bunch of restaurants and entertainment outlets and retail as well in that space. So we are hoping that people that come to Atlanta in the next several years, when they see these developments come to life, have a completely new experience that they will not have expected at all if they've been here recently before. It's going to change the entire downtown landscape.
I love
Nice.
it. That's so awesome. Yeah, I mean,
It's really cool.
the work you guys do is just so incredible, and I think that like both of your destinations, I think have a lot of opportunity for planners that I think a lot of people don't know about. You know, like once again, I just want to bring it back to that point that like your destinations maybe are not the first thing in somebody's mind, but that's why we have you here today to share with our audience. You know, like guys, consider these destinations because they sound so awesome. I'm so excited to see, you know, like what's going on in Atlanta. I remember I was on a fam trip there last December, a media fam, and learning about these developments and like walking through the areas and seeing like the start of like these businesses that are opening up there and just envisioning, you know, what it's going to be. And Yakima Valley sounds just like so incredible and beautiful. I want to have a winery concert. I want to go to a winery concert.
Come on up, Sarah.
That's so cool. That sounds so cool. I love concerts and I love wine. So, I mean, it actually can't get better than that. That sounds like such a cool offsite for a meeting. Like, that's something people are going to remember.
Experience
I
of it
love
all.
I do have another question for you guys. So, like, I think I know what you're going to answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway. You both represent such different destinations. Each of you has, like, a very unique flavor and experience that you can offer people. And do you think that that makes your work different? Or do you think that the kind of work you do is a lot more similar than different?
You know, I looked at that question over and over, and I was like, you know, obviously we're completely different, extremely different destinations. But I think at the foundation level, what Kristin and I both do are very, very similar. Just the overall experience is going to be maybe that's where we're a lot different. We're kind of more of your small town feel with different experiences that because of the ag base that people can go do things out in a hop farm or out in a winery or vineyard where they might not be able to do that in a bigger city. But Kristin, not trying to speak for you because you'll have plenty to say, I'm sure, but because you're the expert of Atlanta, but you know, with being a big city, a tier 1 city, you guys have, you know, way more at your fingertips to offer as far as you know, from A to Z for options.
Yeah, that's a good point. I would agree. You know, at the core, you know, we want to be that destination resource. You know, we want to work with you kind of hand in hand to build whatever experience you're looking for in the city. And then it's really just about, you know, what the city offers and what is, you know, unique about that city. You know, I think about Brynn, your location. It sounds very picturesque and relaxing and gorgeous, and like what a beautiful place, you know, to have a meeting and then have like a wellness program or something to bring in the outdoors, you know, like refreshing everybody's minds after a meeting or something. And yeah, with it, you know, with Atlanta, it's a large city and we have a lot of neighborhoods. So you know, we can do big, but we also want to, you know, relay like we can do small. You know, we're a city of neighborhoods. We're a lot of different pockets. And if you do want to find a small town feel, or, you know, you don't want to feel like you're overwhelmed by, you know, downtown Atlanta or, you know, midtown Atlanta, you know, we've got, you know, Buckhead, or we've got, you know, our east side, you know, Beltline area. And we've got these smaller pockets of town, these neighborhoods around the city that you can feel like you are doing more of a takeover and you do have more of a kind of unique curated feel. So again, we want to listen and find what is the best fit for you. I think for, you know, for both of our destinations, and make sure that we're presenting the, you know, the best part of our destination for whatever that is that you're looking for.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, you know, the big takeaway here, like at the end of the day, CVBs, DMOs are your experts and you want them to be your best friends. So work with them, reach out as soon as possible because you'll get more out of it.
Yeah.
But they truly care about your destinations and they care about bringing that destination to life for your meeting. Because after all, why are you traveling all this way to visit a destination if it can't come to life as big and beautiful as the CVB knows they can make it for you?
Point.
Eming, you want to jump in with our final trademark question?
Sure. So typically we ask our guests at the end of every show, what is in your toolbox? So what is something that you've experienced in life, in your work, whatever it is that you deem fits this kind of question, that has helped you do what you do now?
For me, it's very simple. It's don't take no for an answer, because what we do can take time. We're always working in the future. So it might not happen today, it might not happen next year, but building that rapport with that client that might say, oh, you know, we only want to work with these larger cities that are on the I-5 corridor, because that's where our membership is centered, and trying to get them to think outside the box. And so if you build that rapport over the years and have some genuine relationships with these clients, you're not just selling them, a destination. It's more of, like we were talking about, an experience, and building that trust with them. Eventually, they come around. And so for me, switching careers from education to this in my 20s, it was like, they say no, and you're just like that. They're never going to want to come here. And I just think persistence is key, and patience.
Mhm.
So just don't take no for an answer.
Nice.
Gosh, those are good ones. Those are important to have in the toolbox. Gosh, I would say, I mean, I hate to say this because, life and business life and personal life is all blended together. And I hate to, create any animals out there, but I would say your flexibility and your availability. We always try to be there for customers whenever they need us. So, the quicker we can respond, jump on something, raise our hand for an opportunity, usually then, something beautiful comes out of that. So, being willing to jump in and try something new, try a new experience, build a new program, being flexible with the meeting planner, being patient, like Brynn said, and just being available to their needs. I think it's not, rocket science, what we're doing, but I think the attention that you can give to a planner and the time and the responsiveness goes a long way in building that relationship and hopefully being the one that they call, when they have that next program or that next idea for an event or something like that.
Love it.
That's so important, like that like FaceTime of like knowing someone and being like, I trust you to do this for me because I know you can do it.
Yeah.
That's huge. Especially like they're investing, time, money, energy in you and hoping that working with you can get them what they want. So that's huge.
Yeah, and honestly, at the end of the day, some of these people have become my friends. When you've worked here this long and you work with them on an annual basis, or you've pursued them every year until they finally say yes. They're like, okay.
Yeah, I think one thing that both of you touched on is this relationship building and the absolutely integral role that it plays in the way that planners and CVBs and DMOs and everyone in this industry works together. Relationship building is integral to everyone's success.
Yeah. Have to take care of that trust that they've given to you. You want to feed that.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. Well, thank you both so much for being here.
This was great.
I love learning about, both of your destinations, and they're just both such incredible places. And also just the immense amount of work that CVBs do and the amount of love that's in it is so beautiful. So thank you. Thank you for the work you do, and thank you for being here to share it
Thank
with
you very
everyone.
much.
Thank you for
Really
having us.
appreciate it. That was really fun, Sarah. Thank you for finding those people. One interesting thing that I always think for us is really cool is that when we go on like campings and such, and we go to like locations that we've probably personally never been to, and we get to see whole new sides of areas that we never thought like had these things. And I think they talked about a lot of things that I wasn't aware of that existed in their areas. So I'm like, this is actually like really cool. Like, it's really great to have a resource for planners who can like, there's a place I can call. I can say exactly what they can offer me and how that fits my vision of what I want to do for my event.
Yes.
So it's a great resource.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
It really is. If you don't work with the CVB, you are missing out on opportunities. And like they're there to help you. And like the thing about the CVB professionals that I've met and worked with is like everyone just loves their destination so much. Like these are truly passionate people and they just want to show you, like they want to welcome you into their destination and be like, look at this and look at that. Isn't it awesome? And they're just like the most wonderful people to work with. So it's really lovely. And I think one of the other things that I'm really excited about for this episode is just like, I want to drive home the topic of community impact and like the impact that tourism makes on local communities, because like those dollars that you spend to bring your meeting and the dollars that your attendees spend, going out to dinner or like just experiencing the destination, buying a souvenir, that money goes back into amplifying people's ability to like live a great life in this destination. And like you're truly being part of a human community through travel, not just economically, but like emotionally too. So
yeah,
it's really
you're going
special.
somewhere, you're engaged with that environment, their world, and you become part of that world for a short amount of time. It's good to have a resource to kind of like guide you through that, because there are often things that you don't, there's cultural things that you aren't aware of, and they can kind of keep you on the right path to success in that respect.
Thank you so much for listening, and remember, you belong here and wherever you choose to go.